go.
Well, we got a couple minutes in this segment. Tell us about the creative process, because there are pastors, children's pastors, youth leaders, and just speakers all around that are going, what you're saying is gold. Take us into your creative process just for like 2 minutes and tell us, how do you start crafting bits and sermons or whatever that work?
Well, I actually got a 4-part course that I like to advertise as $29.99 a month. To just get in, I'm gonna just look at some of their sermons, add some jokes in there. I'm just kidding. I think you got. It's like
the
a
rocket
price.
company might want. It's like, come on.
I just upgrade their sermons.
Right.
Yeah, I think anytime like a comic, anybody, like say something that's vulnerable to you, that makes you as a pastor, they think you're like, so that joke worked with Andy because they think, say something self-depreciating or about you. So if I'm roasting everyone else in a show, the first thing I've done is roast myself. So then he's like, okay, he's one of us. I even feel uncomfortable in a lot of ways being on the Catalyst website, like advertising because I'm the voice of the people.
Right.
I'm not the celebrity back there. The comedian is the voice of the people. So I would tell a pastor all the time, I'd be like, hey, say something embarrassing about yourself. Like I was like, hey, I love Jesus, but you ever had like an unchristian thought just sneak in?
Exactly.
I was like, I was just driving to work the other day, being a responsible adult. I saw that cyclist on the side of the road. I was like, I wonder if I just like not just like, not kill him,
Take
you know,
him
say, not just like,
give him a little bit. Get off the road, baby.
But what that does is humanizes you to bring it to, so like if a pastor, there's a million funny stories about your kids. Like a pastor, like tell something about you backing out and hitting the mailbox, about your kid, and your kid poops somewhere, whatever it is, like this, and then humanize yourself. And then so you're on the struggle. Like I was listening to a sermon one time, I was like, don't you just like, I just committed the worst sin this week. I was in a hurry at the post office and I just real quick I had to run in. I parked in the handicap spot. I was like, that's the worst thing you're doing. I was like, come on, man, come on, dude.
Give us be real.
Okay? Yeah.
My dad. Would you say my dad just locked me in the closet?
Come on, dude. It's like my dad is a pastor. He said, oh, my kids are just a gift from Jesus. They are. So, I'm like, Dad, last night you locked me in the garage. So I'm trying to take this guy, this preacher, and then this, and trying to merge these together. Wow. So all I would say to a pastor or a creative person, the best comedy. Louis Anderson. I'll finish with this. Louis Anderson is my favorite comic.
Please.
And people would come to his meet and greets and be crying. They'd meet him. They'd be like crying. He talks about his parents being abusive, his struggles with being overweight. Wow. So he puts it out. And that's what's going to connect. Like a joke, like a ride the chicken across the road joke. It's going to be funny, but it's not going to, oh my goodness, I got to drive 6 hours to see that guy perform because I connected on a real. So when you put yourself out there, he would making jokes about real life things. And that is what's going to make people go, oh my goodness, this guy, he's helped me with life, you know?
I got to ask you this. We're supposed to go to a song, but it's flowing. I have to ask you this. How do you, now this is a gift, how do you make a joke about something serious that's in your life? Like let's say like I got adopted at 2 months. You know, my mom's crack addict. I'm sure, but Kevin Hart does it. Right? Like how do you, because I'm sure people are wondering, how do you do that?
For sure. So Mark Lowry is one of my favorite comics. You probably never heard of him. He's a white guy. Great, you don't listen to white comedy. Anyway, he's a Christian. He's Seinfeld 2.0. But he tells a story about how his mom died in the hospital. He was in the hospital when his mom left the earth. Right. Him and his dad were there, and his mom, right before she died, she goes, "I think I see lights." And then she died. That's a true story. They were him and his dad were in there with his mom. I think I see lights. Then she took her last breath. It's like right.
That's heavy.
They get everything settled. They clear everything up. They walk out to the car. He get nothing. Nobody's saying a word. Right. Get into the car. Shut the door. His dad goes, "I can't believe that." She said, "I think I see lights." And then she died. He goes, "You think it was flames?" Hilarious, dude. Hilarious, bro. Hilarious. That is the best. You could not have timed a better joke than that.
But let me, can I lean into it?
Yeah, go ahead.
People think that, like, I'm already going, I mean, I cracked up at that.
Yeah.
But, like, to say it, you're almost afraid. You're like, can I say that?
Right.
Speaking to that fear a little bit.
There's a lot of, if you look into comedy, there's a lot of, like, comedy, something went wrong in your childhood that you would be a comedian. Every comic is birthed out of a deep pain or hurt or struggle. You see, one of my favorite comics is a guy named Josh Blue. He has cerebral palsy. There's a lot of overweight comics. There's a lot of comics that are in wheelchairs. There's a lot of comics that are, nerds or outcasts or beat up. I did a comedy show with a guy that's a quadriplegic, no arms, no legs. He comes out telling a joke. He goes, Imagine, your look right now, that's what they think when I drive up at the McDonald's drive-thru.
Oh my God.
Which is like, but think about that is, so like Mark Lowry in the car, what he's saying, do you think it was flames? Or that guy, imagine you have cerebral palsy, you're 10, you're going out to recess, all the other kids are playing around, you're what? Why does my arm, in all seriousness, how do you, if all these other kids have healthy families and you're like, why was I...
Right.
Why am I adopted?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I'm thinking I'm one of 8 kids, and it was kind of like I was always kind of like overlooked and kind of like, why?
Yeah.
I see all these other kids when their parents are like, hey, dude, my buddy Isaac's one of my best friends. Every time his mom would hang up on the phone with him, he would go, I love you. And he'd go, I love you. And I would just go, wow. Right? That never happened to me. And so you can't, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. They're all jokes, but they're not jokes. This is our way of, my buddy with cerebral palsy, he comes out and goes, hey, I have cerebral palsy, and his arm is like, it doesn't work. Right. And he goes, I have cerebral palsy, I can't control my limbs, so sorry to all the girls that I slapped on the butt on the way in. So it's basically the same thing that happened with Eminem in the last scene of 8 Mile. You see that, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a white rapper, but you haven't.
I had to watch it.
All right.
He's got black.
So. So what he did...
So do you, by the way.
Yeah, well, okay, thank you. What he did in that last scene, which they were going to come after him for all that stuff, right? Yeah. He goes, I am white. I do live with my mom. I am in a trailer. XYZ that we should mention. Yeah. But and then the guy had nothing. The guy that was going to battle him, he was going to say all the things, but Eminem said everything about himself already. Wow. So he had nothing.
So you're saying just lean into the fear. Don't be afraid. Just say it.
Then they got nothing to say. You're like, hey, I was adopted. Like, and if you can make a joke out of it, they were like, you're like, what do you got? White parents?
My black one.
All right, so you can be like, thank you. That right there. So that right there. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So
everybody thinks my parents are white, but they're black. It does exist.
He was like, this is like a Compassion International 2.0 type situation. It's like, or something like that, which is like, people are like, okay, but if you're joking,
that's brilliant.
If you're joking about it, that's the sign that you've moved all the way through to the final stage of like accepting you for who you are. You're not joking at the beginning, but a comic is morbid in a lot of ways that he'll get right into the car, shut the door. You think it was, it might have been flames. The comic will go there faster.
It's almost you're saying inappropriateness is appropriate in comedy.
And what do you think that dad that had just lost his wife was sad, dejected? What do you think that joke did for him? You think it helped him?
Oh, yeah.
Grant, it had to have. It's so sad, and he just goes...
It lifted him.
Dude, I'll finish on this.
Okay.
I did a show in San Jose, and I get done with the show, 90-minute show. A lady comes out to the merch table, holding 6 of my DVDs, crying. And I go, what's happening? She goes, you don't understand, I have stage 4 cancer, and every minute of my day is spent thinking about this disease eating inside of my body every second of every day. And when she said that 90 minutes that I was in that show, I was free.
Wow. Listen. Whew.